Big salute to all of my veterans out here, man. Big shout out to all of my subscribers. Man, I appreciate each and every one of you. And like I tell you guys, I can't go a video without showing my appreciation and saying it to you. Let's talk about this today. Let's talk about Class A CDL drivers failing their drug test. What is it going to take that Class A CDL driver who failed their drug test? What is it going to take them to basically return back to duty, you know? So for you guys out here who aspire to start a trucking company, maybe you already started your trucking company, know that every trucking company has to enroll into a drug consortium. Every trucking company have to give their drivers a pre-employment drug test. Basically, you're enrolling that driver into this drug consortium. Every quarter, that drug consortium is basically going to pull out a name. And if your driver's name has been chosen, you have to send your driver to the drug testing lab to do a random drug test. So let me tell you guys real quick my experience on how I pretty much learned these steps right here, because I already went through it. You know, there's going to be a lot of people out here. The way that you're going to learn is basically by trial and error and by going through it, right? You know, so I started my trucking company back in 2017. 2018, I hired a driver, gave that driver a pre-employment drug test. That driver passed that drug test. You know, that came back negative, so we were good. I was able to put that driver out on the road. So anyway, about 6 months down the road, that driver's name was pulled from the drug consortium's basically list of drivers who have been selected to go take a random drug test. So anyway, as the owner, the drug consortium will let you know, and then you're going to let your driver know the location on where they need to go to basically take that drug test. Anyway, that driver went, you know, in there and took that drug test, because you don't want to refuse to take a drug test too, being in the, you know, being a Class A CDL driver, because that's the same as basically failing a drug test. So anywhere to go, you want to go make sure you get down there to take that drug test. So anyway, this driver went down there, took the drug test, ended up coming back, you know, positive for marijuana, THC. And anyway, that started my first experience on how do I deal with this driver, you know, that just basically failed their drug test. So I had to do a little research on what should I be doing, what actions should I be taking to make sure that I'm doing everything the right way too, because if you are not doing things the right way as a company, and especially a trucking company, you know, you could pretty much get your authority revoked, you could get your authority suspended, you could be subject to going through some type of safety audit that could potentially shut you down. So you want to make sure you're doing everything the right way. And of course, the right way is making sure that you enroll into a drug consortium so that you're giving your drivers pre-employment drug test, and also making sure that your drivers are making it down to get their random drug test. So anyway, this driver came back positive. From my research, the first thing that I had to do was basically remove the driver from the truck. You don't want that driver out there trucking if that driver has basically popped positive on a drug test. You know, now you're talking about you are becoming liable for this driver. If something happens with this driver, if they're out trucking and they get into an accident and they so happen to find out that this driver just failed a drug test and you're still letting this driver drive that truck, it could come back on you. So the first thing you want to do is just remove the driver from the truck. Let him know that he's going to basically, you're not firing the driver at the time. You're just putting them on more of like a leave of absence in a way, you know, because you can't let that driver drive that commercial vehicle safely if they're under the influence of alcohol or marijuana, right? So remove the driver from the truck. Now it's really up to the driver to go through this process, what they call the return to duty process, which is going to include that driver have to enroll into a substance abuse professional program, which they call SAP, right? And this right here, that's all on the driver. You know, it's not up to the company owner to enroll that driver into SAP. It's up to the driver to enroll themselves into SAP, because the driver has to pay this bill right here. That could be anywhere from $6,000 to $20,000, and it could take up to 30 days or even longer for that driver to go through this program. So once that driver has successfully completed SAP with the professional, that driver can return back to duty. And the only way that they could return back to duty is once they pass their drug test to basically return back on duty. So they have to have a negative drug test to return back on duty. So during this time of them being in SAP, a lot of truck drivers that's having to go through this right now, they're spending and wasting a lot of money because they have to foot this bill, you know, and they're wasting time. No other trucking company out here is going to hire them, you know, at the moment, because they're in the program. And once they complete the program, like I say, they're going to return to duty, but they have to pass that drug test. So once they pass that drug test, you could hire them back. So I did hire this driver back, and the reason why I hired this driver back is because I do feel that marijuana is not, you know, I don't know. My views on marijuana is not the same as other people's views. So I do understand that, you know, sometimes people might slip up. Sometimes people might think that they're not going to get caught, but sometimes in life you just have to do things to learn from it. So I do feel that this driver did learn from it. I didn't have to go through any more problems with that driver when it came to drug tests. That driver passed all 6 of their random drug tests that is going to be required by the FMCSA through the clearinghouse. So they will require all of the drivers within a year to go through 6 random drug tests, and that drug test could be whenever too. So your drivers have to make sure that they're ready, and by staying ready means that they shouldn't be under the influence out here. So 6 random tests all in 1 year. The good part about failing the drug test for you Class A CDL drivers out here, because like I say, you might went home, you might smoked a little weed, and you came back out trying to drive, and hey, you got popped, you know, you got busted because you had to go take that random drug test. But the good thing is that your CDL license will not be suspended if you do fail a drug test, you know. So these are basically some quick steps for you guys out here if you are owners of a trucking company, and if you ever experience, you know, having to deal with a driver that failed a drug test. You know, it's not a hard process. Majority of this process is really left on that driver. You know, some drivers might not go through the SAP program because they don't have the money. So this is for you Class A CDL drivers out here, man. Don't mess up your, you know, your career or your license or the way that you're feeding your family, you know, by consuming any type of illegal drugs or alcohol, especially when you are operating as a professional out here too. So anyway, man, if you guys have any questions, hit me up on my text message, 317-953-8943. Go visit my website, www.extraordinarymovement.com. Go get your 30-day free trial with DAT. Go sign up with TAFS, Trans and Financial Services, if you guys are looking for a factoring service out here. And also, if you guys are freight brokers, go sign up with Axle Payments if you guys are looking for a factoring service. I always like to leave you guys with this. Some good information with a big CEO. CEO, commit, execute, and be obsessed. Everybody be great out there.